Folks, what I'm about to tell you is going to shock the liberal establishment and send them into complete meltdown mode. President Trump just delivered the biggest victory for religious freedom in decades. For the first time in years, Christian federal workers can finally express their faith without fear of being fired, disciplined, or discriminated against. The war on Christians in the federal workplace is over. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you about this groundbreaking policy. On July 28, 2025, Trump's Office of Personnel Management issued revolutionary guidance that completely transforms religious expression in federal workplaces. And let me tell you exactly what this means for millions of Christian federal employees. First, Christian workers can now display crosses, Bibles, religious artwork, and even religious posters on their desks and in their workspaces. No more hiding your face. Second, federal employees can form prayer groups, hold Bible studies, and gather for religious discussions during break times. Imagine that. Christians can actually be Christian at work. Third, and this is the big one, Christian workers can now invite their coworkers to church, share their faith, and yes, even encourage colleagues to rethink their religious beliefs. The government can no longer silence Christian voices. But it gets even better. Park rangers can pray with tour groups, VA doctors can pray over patients, and supervisors can invite their teams to Easter services. This isn't just policy change, this is a cultural revolution. Now, you might be wondering, why is this such a big deal? Well, let me paint the picture of what Christian federal workers have endured for years under previous administrations. According to EEOC data, religious discrimination complaints make up nearly 20% of all workplace discrimination cases. That's 1 in every 5 complaints. Christian federal employees have been told to remove crosses from their desks, stop praying at work, and keep their faith completely private. I'm talking about park rangers being told they can't mention God during tours, VA nurses afraid to pray with dying veterans, IRS workers hiding their Bibles in desk doors like they're contraband. This is America, folks, the nation founded on religious liberty. Yet for decades, our own government has been the worst offender when it comes to religious persecution of Christians. But Trump didn't just fix this, he obliterated the anti-Christian policies. This new guidance specifically states that coworkers' dislike of religious practice cannot be used to restrict Christian expression. The days of tiptoeing around offended secular employees are over. And oh boy, are the liberals losing their minds over this. The Freedom from Religion Foundation is calling it shockingly unconstitutional. CNN is freaking out about workplace evangelizing. The left is acting like Trump just ordered mandatory Bible studies. They're screaming about separation of church and state, but here's what these constitutional illiterates don't understand. The First Amendment protects the free exercise of religion, not freedom from religion. The Supreme Court made this crystal clear in the Kennedy versus Bremerton case. Americans don't lose their religious rights just because they work for the government. In fact, the court said religious persons deserve full participation in the workforce. What really terrifies the left is that this policy applies to supervisors too. That means Christian managers can share their faith with their teams. The anti-Christian establishment can't stand the thought of Christianity spreading through government offices. But folks, this policy isn't happening in a vacuum. This is part of Trump's massive push to restore religious liberty across America. In May 2025, Trump established the Religious Liberty Commission through executive order, the first administration to create a dedicated commission focused solely on protecting religious freedom. Trump appointed Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick as chairman, and this commission is tasked with rooting out anti-Christian bias throughout the federal government. We're talking about a systematic restoration of religious rights. And the timing couldn't be more perfect. With Christian persecution reaching record levels worldwide, over 380 million Christians facing discrimination globally, America is finally leading by example. Think about your own workplace. How many of you have felt pressured to hide your faith? How many have been told not to mention God or display religious symbols? Well, if you work for the federal government, Those days are over. This isn't just about federal workers, though. This sets a precedent for private companies, too. When the federal government protects religious expression, it sends a message to corporate America. Discriminating against Christians is unacceptable. So, what does this mean for you? First, if you're a federal employee, you need to know your rights. You can display that cross, keep that Bible on your desk, and yes, invite your coworkers to church. But even if you don't work for the government, this is your victory too. Every time we push back against religious discrimination, we make it easier for Christians everywhere to live out their faith openly. This is also proof that elections have consequences. When we elect leaders who understand the importance of religious liberty, we get policies that actually protect our rights. And let's be clear, this isn't about forcing religion on anyone. The guidance specifically says that if someone asks you to stop discussing religion, you should respect that request. This is about equality, not supremacy. Christians deserve the same rights as everyone else. Folks, this is what winning looks like. After decades of being silenced, marginalized, and discriminated against, Christian federal workers can finally breathe freely again. Trump promised to restore religious liberty, and he's delivering in ways that will impact generations of Christian Americans. This isn't just policy, this is a declaration that America's Christian heritage matters. I want to hear from you in the comments. Are you a federal worker who's experienced religious discrimination? How important is religious freedom to your vote in 2028? And if you support Trump's religious liberty policies, smash that like button and subscribe for more conservative news that the mainstream media won't cover. Because folks, if they're this upset about Christians expressing their faith at work, just wait until you see what Trump has planned next for religious liberty restoration. Stay tuned.